In this segment on PCTV, we're going to show you what to do in order to preserve your data and make sure that you don't get caught out and have your data disappear on you because of something that wasn't entirely under your control.
I mean, everyone remembers the time when they wrote an essay and the night before the hard drive died and you didn't have it backed up and yeah.
What was the old adage? There's two types of people that have lost data and people that are about to lose data. Isn't that the old saying?
Yeah,
I think it is actually.
Yeah.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to set up a backup and how to set up a backup schedule, as well as how to set a system restore point in case you stuff something up by downloading something that maybe you shouldn't have, and then you can go back to a point before you did this mistake and set your machine to that point, and in that case it will save you from whatever mayhem that you might have set up.
Yeah.
Cool. So initially we want to show you, in order to do a backup, you should really have an external hard drive. I mean, you can back up to DVDs or discs. It's a little bit more tedious and you have to buy discs and whatever else, and it's a lot more difficult to keep track of. If you have an external hard drive, it's much, much easier. Just connect it up, plug it in, and set up your backup that way, and it's just much, much less time consuming, and it's less it's more cost effective because you won't have to buy any more DVDs and stuff. So
we've got two here.
We've got two external hard drives.
Yeah, so we'll look at the differences. The first one here is a very common standard one that you'll see today.
What size is that?
The size of the actual drive?
Yeah, I think it's a 2.5 inch, yeah?
Yeah, they generally refer to it as that. This is the same kind of hard drive as you'll find in a laptop.
Yep.
So it runs on less power, it's a little slower.
That's actually self-powered, correct? Like when I plug in the USB, it'll power up, correct?
Well, yeah, the USB connector on a computer does provide power.
Yep.
Not a lot, but it is enough to run one of these drives.
Right.
So they're a little slower, as I said, but they're smaller and, again, use less power. So if we plug this in here, it'll just fire up and run on its own. Very convenient.
Oh, see the little light comes on?
The light came on.
Perfect. That tells you that it's all running and it's ready to go. Now, because it's a smaller form factor, it's definitely a lot more portable. It's definitely a lot more mobile if you want to use it. And because you don't need to have an extra power adapter to plug it into a power socket, it's a lot easier for you to use if you're traveling or anything like that. Now, this one here, this is a desktop external hard drive. This is a 3.5 inch form factor, so it's much larger, much fatter, and it actually needs its own power source. So you need to plug that into a power adapter, and then you plug in the USB into your laptop or into your desktop, whatever. The little lights will come on that you'll see, and that means you're good to go. And if you check on your Internet Explorer, you'll see that it's up there. This one here is actually a Free Agent GoFlex, so it'll come up as Free Agent GoFlex underneath my computer. So when you look down the side, you'll see computer, and you'll see Free Agent GoFlex, drive, whatever it may be, probably G or F or whatever it may be, however many drives you've got in your laptop or desktop, and it'll be right there. Now you can directly transfer all your files to it, but we'll show you how to set up a proper backup.
So the difference is there between this one and the larger?
Well, this one's got a terabyte. I think that one's...
So they tend to have more capacity.
Yeah.
They tend to be faster.
Yeah.
And they tend
oh yeah, this one spindles at 7,200 RPM, so it's much faster than that one.
This would be a 54, I think.
That's mainly because traditionally, they used to have the fastest spinning spindles that they could get in order to get access to your hard drives as fast as they could possibly do it. Nowadays, in order to conserve power, they'll make them spindle down to about 5,400 RPM instead of 7,200. So it's a little bit slower, but it saves you power.
These tend to be, for the same capacity, a little more expensive too.
Yeah, that's very true.
So you'd pay a few more dollars for a 1 terabyte version of this as compared to a terabyte.
And the premium that you're paying is basically for the portability of the fact that you don't need to power it externally as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So now that we've got both drives in here,
then we should think about setting up a system backup. So initially what we do is we go to the Start button down here, and then we go to the Control panel, and we look for, once you look into your settings and stuff. Now remember, people will have them set up in categories. So what we do immediately is we change from category into large icons so you can more easily see what we're doing. We go into Backup and Restore, which is like the first one on the third list. Click that. And it will take us straight away to the backup and restore your files. Now on this computer there hasn't been a backup set, so we can start by setting the backup, and as you can see there's a little button here that says set your backup. So just click on that. it'll take you into a wizard.
What's a wizard?
Well, a wizard is a configurational guide and helper for you to be able to go through something, but taking basically all the steps for you, and you just have to go through 1, 2, A, B, C sort of thing and get it finished. And it takes care of all the bits and pieces in the background that you might or might not want to know about.
Do you remember the early Microsoft that had the little wand?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Wizard.
Yeah. It had an actual wizard, right?
It's a clever person who came up.
So now the first thing it's going to do is it's going to tell you where you want to save your backup. Now you're going to want to save it because we've got the external drive set up. You want to set it into our external drive now.
Windows has actually said that that's the recommended drive.
Yeah, because it's got the most space, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll also create an image of the system.
Yeah. Windows 7 allows you to create a system image. Now what a system image does is it takes a snapshot of your hard drive as it is at the time of the backup, which includes all of your applications, all of your programs, everything that you've got on there completely. Whereas if you were, let's say, to store normal files and stuff like that, then you would miss out all your applications, you'd miss out a lot of the programs that you've installed. Whereas a system image will actually also copy all the programs, all of your applications as it was at that point.
It's very useful.
Very useful indeed. Now that technology was not available to previous versions of Windows. No. Windows 7 is the first one to allow you to do that. Before you used to have to get a third-party software or something like that if you wanted a system image, something like Ghost or anything, Intronus or a few of those other ones. Yeah, definitely. But Windows 7 has come a long way since then, and it allows you to take a system image already by default installed in the system, and that's fantastic. It really does help you, especially if you no longer have, all the disks of all the applications that you installed over the last year or so or whatever.
Or even if you downloaded them.
Yeah, if you downloaded them, you're in big trouble. Yeah. Big trouble. So that's really cool. Everything will work. And let it choose. Or if you feel confident enough, you can go in there.
Let's see the options.
Oh, let's have a look. So if we go, let me choose, then we go next, it'll give us straight away all of the things it wants us to back up, which is it's divided it into data files and a computer. So it's got backup data from newly created users. It's got all of the libraries
the
and
primary users libraries. Yeah.
That's correct. And that's the way you go. That way you let it run. Just by clicking next, I'm not going to do that right now, but you click next and you let it run.
So how else can we find the backup and restore section of Windows?
Well, the quick way, instead of going to Control Panel and finding it that way, there's a little search box down the bottom that says search for programs and files. And if you just type in backup, then it'll pop up immediately and you can just go and select that from the very top of the list and it'll take you directly there. It's a much quicker way of doing it.